we're all saying work-life balance. Why do we have to balance work-life? Shouldn't work be life too? It's almost like work it's not life. It's a different thing. So we have to balance work with life. But those 8 hours you spend or whatever you're doing, isn't it part of life too? It's life balance. You're trying to balance it out. And to me, that's what it means to me. So when I see a person who is spending all their days working at something that it's just not conducive to creating a better person, a better me, a better self, to me that tells me there's an unbalance there.
How's it going, guys? Welcome to another episode of Secrets of Silent Success. Today, we have again the one and only Val of Val Cheesecakes. How are you doing this morning?
I am doing good, sir. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Awesome. So he's our first repeat guest. So I'm really grateful to have you this morning. So we'll jump right into it. That's okay?
Yes. Let's do it.
All right. So let's jump into it. Brand new building here. Got a lot of things going on, right? Yes. So 2023, beginning of the year. Let me ask you, what are you grateful for today?
I am grateful to have my health. That is the most important thing, because I really believe if you got like your health, it's 99% of everything. And that 1% is the HR issues, are the people, are the business, the revenues, the trips, the things you need to do. So my health is the most important thing for sure that I'm grateful for.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. The health. All right. So doing this for about 10 years now, right? You've had a lot of establishments open and some, hey, you might have to close, right? In particular, let's talk about the Maple location, right? Tell me a little bit about what transpired in those decisions to make that ultimate decision to close it down. Obviously, your mother's health had some impact there. So just tell me a little bit about that story.
So the Maple location, there are reasons that I cannot disclose between the landlord and I, and it's just a disagreement, and the lease was not extended. So eventually we had to close. There was no choice. There's nothing that we could do. So we had to close it. So I learned of the closure 6 months before the closing. So nobody knew about it. Nobody was dealing with it, but I was dealing with knowing that it's eventually closing. And then the last day of the closure is actually my birthday, November 21st, 2021. So it's closing on my birthday. So what type of gift is that? I don't know what type of gift that is, but we had to close that. And to me, I think it was just getting from 2015 all the way to 2021, that's 6 years. I immersed myself into this business and I kind of try to breathe life into my mother's spirit and everything, and just putting everything into that location. So it's a very sentimental. It's the first location after being at the church for 2.5 years at St. Paul. And so to me, that was just like critical that I get my business going and that location serve its purpose. And mind you, it's a very profitable location, okay? Do not get fooled by 250 square foot. It's a small little shack. That little shack sold some cheesecake that rivals all the other locations. So it's a revenue decision. It's a mother decision. It's like, this is me. This is Val Cheesecakes in a shack, and it's closing on my birthday. So that was heavy, and that just took, I think that kind of like started the depression that I got into. Like, I have to let go of the shack. So I have to let go of my mom. I have to let go of this. I have to deal with the decision of taking her off of life support. So there's a lot going on in that closure for sure.
Got you. On a more happier note, right? You talked a lot about your mother. Yes. I know Valentine's Day, that's your day, right? So tell me a little bit about the significance for you and your mother with Valentine's Day. And also go ahead and promote the 12 cheesecake recipes that we got coming out soon.
So Valentine's Day people think that Mother's Day is the heaviest day for me. It's not. It's not Mother's Day. So it's actually Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day, my mom gave me a card every Valentine's Day. I don't know how this woman who was battling breast cancer found her way to go to Walgreens or Kroger, get a card, and then write in it. And I don't know how she did that. But every time I got off from work, early, because I had to take my mom out, because if I had my own date, right, I had to take my mom out first. So I would take my mom out, and we would eat something nice, a nice brunch, late brunch, and then she would give me a card. So it's a very sentimental holiday for me. You know, I love my mom. We did things on Valentine's Day. We baked cheesecake, desserts. It was just an all out. Like sometimes I even took off Valentine's Day just to spend it with my mom. So it's a very emotional day. And it's just, to me, it's just, love is not just between your boo and your bae and yourself. It's between your sister, your mom, your dad, your cousin. You can say that to anybody you want. So to me, Valentine's Day is special. And this year, Valentine's Day is extremely special. Mind you, it's a Tuesday. We normally close on a Tuesday, but we're gonna make sure we open on Tuesday for sure. All right, so Valentine's Day is special, and then we're dropping the book on Valentine's Day. So there's a 12 Sunday book. It's called 12 Sundays, and it's Cheesecake Recipes for Life. And you have 12 recipes in there, but also 12 stories, 12 little stories, paragraphs, like kind of one pager of something that happened on a Sunday and matching that recipe with it. So it's
not just a recipe, it's a story about
it. You guys are gonna learn a lot y'all didn't know about my family, my mom, everything. Like it even goes into my mother's complexion, like the chocolate cheesecake. There's a significance. I don't know if y'all seen all this chocolate around.
Yeah.
It's matching exactly my mother's complexion. And we talk about being a dark-skinned woman in the book and how it influenced her throughout her life and how she saw herself. And so it gets emotional, it's funny, it's sad sometimes, but it's recipes matching a story, and you can have that on your nice coffee table to look at.
Yeah. Before we switch gears, where are we going to be able to find this recipe book? How do you even get your hands on it?
So it is dropping. Okay, listen, I'm no spring chicken, so it's dropping in, like, I don't know, these new age. Y'all possibly know. So there's the audio version, there's the digital version, and then there's the Barnes and Noble. You can order it from Barnes and Noble, and then I'll have some extra copies myself at the store, and so we'll have some at this location that you can buy from this location. So you have a couple of options, but I'm not too keen on the digital, because this is the first time because I'm an old-fashioned dude. I like a book in my hand to flip pages. So we're gonna see how that works out. The digital, I don't know about that too far.
Got you. So switching gears a little bit, you talked about letting go of the Shack location. It was, almost symbolic of letting your mother go, all the decisions, and you found yourself in a depressing state, right? A functional depression state. You have been very vulnerable, very transparent, very honest on social media and with your followers about the things that you were going through. Can you talk to us a little bit about how you got to that mental place, right? And things that you're doing currently to still work through it, overcome it, and learn from it?
So I got COVID summer of 2021. I knew the Shack was closing. That was those 6 months. So I had that to start with, and then I got COVID for a whole month, and that was, it took me through the ringer. I went to the hospital. My fever went all the way up to 105. I was delirious. Y'all didn't know that, but it went through for a whole month of COVID, and then after COVID, I had to close daily, right? Close the shop. The ideal of closing the shop was in my mind daily for 2.5 months. Well, for September, October, and November of 2021. So to me, those 3 months it just slowly, like, I went down and down and down, and then I had to deal with, I'm closing the Shack. This is my mother's memory, but I don't think I ever dealt with the actual guilt of taking her off of life support. It's just something, my mom didn't leave any directive, any like, if I happen to be on life support, this is what you do. And no matter what the doctor said, Val, this is no life for a human being. Like she was, if we continue, she had to have a hole in her throat. And then she was going to be on breathing machine all the time. And then she was in a coma for days. And this was not the life that I wanted for my mom. But all the time I kept on thinking, maybe if I wait one more day, maybe if I wait 2 more days, maybe let's give it until Friday and see if she comes back. And she was just not coming back. And then after 15 days, they told me, Val, what are you gonna do? This is a decision that you have to make. So I had to make that decision, and we took her off of life support. And then we just like I was in the room when she took her last breath, so it's heavy. Y'all, I'm gonna get emotional. So it gets emotional there for me. I'm sorry. So I was in the room for the last few minutes, and then after that, it's just like silent, and I remember specifically for some reason, the eyes were open when she took her last breath, so I saw that. So there's always been that guilt for me. Did I wait long enough? Did I do the right decision? And no matter what scientifically they tell you, you still have that guilt. So lesson learned from anybody watching this: if you love someone, leave them with some directives. Leave them with an idea, a thought, a text, an email that says, this is what I want for the end of my life. So, because that person has to deal with for the rest of their life, if they don't have that directive, what to do. So that's exactly what I had to deal with, is this guilt. And that took me into a deep depression. And I just couldn't see myself coming out. And that went into Val Cheesecakes. What is the value of Val Cheesecakes? What is Val Cheesecakes adding to people's lives here? What are we doing? Are we just selling cheesecakes? Is that where we want to go and stuff like that? So I started to question my own path, my own worth, and so on. And it just spirals down. And mind you, during those couple of months, I still had to maintain Val Cheesecake. I still had to maintain a front.
Yep.
That everything is okay, that I'm selling cheesecakes, that everything is hunky-dory, but it's not. And so for a whole, possibly a year, it got worse and worse and worse. And then it got to the point where I'm like, do I even need to be on this planet? How can I started to think about, do I have insurance, commercial insurance? And I started to kind of like make it make sense, and that's some place where I just don't want anybody to go to, of starting to plan. The minute you're starting to plan, you're in a bad state. So I decided to get help. I said, okay, I don't think I can get out of this by myself. So let me get some help. I work with 3 clinical people, psychiatrists, psychologists, people to help me out, figure things out. But the most important thing is that I learned through getting help is the reaching out to people. So I started to reach out to people and telling them, and honestly, being honest. Sure. Just telling them, I am depressed. I have thoughts of suicide and stuff like that. This is what I'm going through. And just reaching out to people started to help me out. And of course, they put me on medication and stuff like that. So to me, that's what helped me out, reaching out to people and telling people honestly, and then coming out through Val Cheesecakes about the depression helped a lot, just talking about it.
Sure. There is a quote that Charlemagne the God said. He's the Breakfast Club host, and he talks about, who does the go-to person go to? Right? As the leader, you're the leader in Val's Cheesecake. Here's your business. You're the leader with your family. You're making those tough decisions with your mother, right? You've probably lost somebody who you've confided in your entire life. I know for me, back in 2019, I sought out a actual clinical therapist, right? I didn't feel comfortable with going to a friend, going to a family. I felt more comfortable going to someone who's paid, trained, and educated on how to help me mentally, right? And I believe you did something very similar. I would ask you to go a little bit deeper on the steps that you took to make that call, because some people never make that call or even have the awareness that, hey, I need help, to go to that therapist, to go to that psychiatrist. What did that look like on a granular level for you?
Well, I think granular level started really with people. There's a person, there's a follower, you know, and the person could see through the social media, you know, and that's a powerful moment for me. When a person who I don't think is even close to me at all, but follows me religiously, is a customer, and they DM me, said, you know something? I noticed you dance on this date, at the exact date on when I last danced, and then I haven't seen a lot of dancing, and you're kind of quiet. I see the mood, I see the cheesecakes, but something's up with you. Are you okay? I'm like, I didn't think this person would even see that, because I think I'm putting a good front that everything is okay. But she reached out and said, is there something wrong? And that's when I went in, I said, yeah, there is something wrong. I am depressed. And to me, just a person completely removed from being my family or close ones, or people I work with, just seeing that, I'm like, there is a problem. This is not just a problem that I'm dealing with. I think it's reflecting as well in ways that I'm not noticing myself. And she reached out, and to me, I said, okay, I need to get help. So I went and got helped clinically, and then I also reached out to two of my best friends. So I have two best friends, and so I reached out to them, and I just went, you know, I think people tell people things they want to tell them. You don't tell them every single thing, but even your best friend, there are things you don't tell your best friend sometimes. And me, that's exactly what I did. I said, okay, this is what happened. The Shack is closing, okay? And then also, before that summer, we had closed the AT&T food hall. We're inside of the food hall, and then this big debacle happened. It was in the newspaper about me and dessert from another vendor being put in my stall. And so there was this big thing. So that's one more, how do you say that? One more
like layer almost on it, yeah.
So into the depression. So that is one of them for sure. So to me, the clinical step of identifying what are the signs of depression was helped by people who don't even know you and people who even see through you. Because social media, yes, they see things, but they also see things, okay?
Yeah.
All right, so that to me was the biggest help that I got.
Wow, no, that's powerful. I don't remember exactly the author of the book, but they talked about the difference in life a lot of times is one empathetic person, right? Wasn't a friend, wasn't a colleague, wasn't a family member, but she or he, whoever it may have been, showed empathy and reached out to you. My question then for you would be, hey, you weren't dancing, you weren't necessarily being yourself. Someone, saw, okay, hey, something's off. They reached out. However, it was still incumbent on you to reply and take action. What were you thinking when you got that DM that was like, I'm going to reply? Because a lot of times, for us males, males of colors, for us that's in leadership, educated engineer, I got this, right? So what made you say, let me reply and be vulnerable, be honest with myself to reply back to the individual?
I did not think my depression could be seen. I didn't know it was depression, and I didn't know what type of depression it was. So I didn't think it could be seen. I just did not think. I think I'm doing a good job as on social media. I'm dancing. I am making sure my hours, my employees are paid. I'm making sure that everything is going right. But I didn't think nobody saw that. I didn't think people could peek through some of the issues, and I had issues with emotional eating too. Like when I get off from the Shack, from the shop on Greenville, I'm like, I'm just frustrated if something happened and I'm depressed. I'm like, let me go to Whataburger. like things that I just normally don't do. And I just didn't think that people could see that. And then not sleeping right, not eating right, and I think people saw that. And she specifically saw that. And to me, I got called out.
Okay.
I got called out.
Or called. I like to use
called in.
Called up. You got called up. Okay. You got called in. But same difference. Yeah.
So to me, just the fact that a person could see through to the truth, to me, just spike. Okay, I really need to get this into. If she can see it, other people can see it, and this is a real problem. And for me, I can't continue like this. It's either I need to make a decision, I need to find ways to deal with my depression, or I'm gonna go off a cliff, literally. So that's where we are.
So in talking about dealing and coping with the depression, you said something interesting in there. You started talking about your habits, right? Going to Whataburger, not sleeping. One of the things that I've learned in my own bouts with depression or anxiety is that when times are flowing well, I have all these things that I do that are preventative. I meditate, I work out, drink water, you sleep well. As soon as you hit some turmoil, a lot of times, the things that you have done for preventative maintenance to help you stay stable, it goes out the window immediately, right? Tell me, did you experience some of those things? You're talking about the eating that you were doing, the Whataburger. Tell me a little bit about your habits during that time and how you may have, picked up new things or reached back to old things to help you to get to a better place with your habits specifically.
So some of my habits, I'm a person who works out,
Yep.
I'm a cheesecake baker who works out. I know they're gonna hate this, right? Like a baker is not supposed to work out, but I do work out. I swim a lot. So I'm a big swimmer. And so that helps me a lot. And when I noticed the depression was coming in and settling in, I didn't go swimming. And that's important to me. Swimming is like, it's just you in the water and there's nobody else. And
I'm a runner, I guess.
You're a runner. So it's just, to me, I didn't do that. And the eating habit started to get out of control. Like, meaning it would be like I could not eat for a whole day and then just go in. When I get home after work, it's like, okay, whatever, a bag of chips, a pizza, just the whole nine, just eating out of control. And then, so that was one of them, just eating out of control, not swimming, and then also not calling people, not wanting to do things, not friends inviting you somewhere, people saying, hey, what you doing? And then always making up an excuse. Well, I got the store, this person didn't show up, this didn't do that. And it's just, those are the things that I started to do, not swimming, eating, like it was just sometimes just out of control. It's all over the place. And then also just not really wanting to talk to people, be around people, just the shop. The minute the light switch goes out at Val Cheesecakes, it's like, I don't want to do anything. And that, to me, I think started to impact how I came up the next day eventually. So every day, my mood started to get to a point where even a staff member told me, hey, Val, it seemed like, I don't know if you're here or not. I know you're in the building, you're making cheesecake batter, but like you are completely zoned out. And like, I think it started to creep up that people are noticing it and that I think I have it under control. And to me, I'm a control, like
the engineer side of you showing, huh?
I like to keep things under control at all times. And it seems like things were just being lost. I was losing control and people could just, the smallest things to me, the details. When people notice the small details, to me, it's a bit of truth that opens up to a bigger issue. And that's where I started, okay, people are noticing this, I have a problem, I need to fix it. And things are getting out of control, my eating habits, and then just feeling sluggish, not being able to do things physically. My back hurting all the time. Why is that? I'm not stretching, I'm not swimming, I'm not exercising my core muscle and stuff like that. So those are the signs for me.
Got you. So on the better side of those habits, did you start back swimming? Did you start back working out? If you did you see a difference? How did you get back in that pool the first time after going? I know for me personally, I didn't work out for like 8 weeks, right? I had back problems, right? And you work out that first day, you're like, this is what I need, right? So what was that experience like for you?
So my biggest breakthrough happened when I actually told a person that I love dearly, hey, this is what's been going on. This is like all these not swimming, all these eating habits and stuff like that are going out of control, me not showing up for several events. And when I told that person that like, wow, I just didn't know that because it doesn't show sometimes, I don't even know that. So once I got help, I was able to talk to people, to psychiatrists, psychologists, and counselors. When I told them that, I was put on medication, okay? There's nothing wrong with medication, okay? So I got put on medication and they diagnosed my depression. And then they told me, you need to stay on your medication and not get off of it, because a lot of times people go see a person and then they think, well, I feel relieved, so I really don't need the medication, I can keep going. So I got on medication and then I started to admit that to more people. I started to tell them, yeah, I am depressed. And the minute I started to do that, I went into the pool and I got my first swimming in, and I listened to Mel Robbins a lot.
Oh yeah, yeah. 5-second rule I know about. Yeah. I know Miss
Right?
Mel Robbins.
So a lot of things she says works, but I think one of the most powerful moment was when she said, you know, that if they wanted to, they would. And not everybody has the same goals or the same, you can't keep getting upset because people are not doing what you want them to do. There were a lot of frustration from the business itself, from COVID, from stuff. And you can't just keep getting frustrated because you want a person to do what you want them to do, all right? So, and then also she mentioned no reply is a reply, is an answer. So those 3 things, and I think I have a post on my social media that has those 3 quotes from her. And so to me, I started to let go of a lot of things and kind of like, you know, something like this person who started to work on Monday, quits on Wednesday to go to Wyoming. This is real stuff. You know, I'm not gonna keep that going. I don't have the time to keep that going inside and be frustrated about that. So to me, the swimming, once I got into that zone, medicated, and doing a little bit more of reaching out and telling the truth, I cannot tell you how much that helps to have people just listen. Sometimes I don't even need a person to say, I understand, just listen. This is it. So that to me helped a lot.
Yeah, that's beautiful that she talked about telling the truth, being honest, and you've seen the transition on the social media. You're back dancing, but you're telling people, hey, this is what happened. This is why I'm dancing. I love your new hashtag, life balance, right? So tell me about life balance, and also about being honest and transparent via social media, right? Matching the internal with the external, because a lot of times it is a disconnect for a lot of us, right? But I feel like with you, it's matching, right? So just tell me about that.
So I think Trevor Noah was leaving his show.
Daily show?
Yeah, and then he had an interview, and I don't know which interview it was, but he mentioned how we're all saying work-life balance. Why do we have to balance work-life? Shouldn't work be life too? It's almost like work it's not life. It's a different thing. So we have to balance work with life. But those 8 hours you spend or whatever you're doing, isn't it part of life too? It's life balance. You're trying to balance it out. And to me, that's what it means to me. So when I see a person who is spending all their days working at something that it's just not conducive to creating a better person, a better me, a better self. To me, that tells me there's an unbalance there. And that unbalance has gotten me into a situation where last year, I think, because I wasn't, because there's issues with staffing, right?
Sure.
We can't have a stable staffing. That means we can't have stable production at Val Cheesecake. That means we can't have stable revenues at Val Cheesecake. So I decided, all right, let me dust off my engineering degree, let me dust off my license and get back into engineering last year. So I worked for about 8 months at the city of Denton. And for 8 months, mind you, I love what I was doing there, but there were issues about, what about my business? I have a business, I have people that are depending on having a cheesecake there on their table. And I just couldn't, I just fought with myself all the time, and Val Cheesecake was not letting me go. It was not gonna happen. So for 8 months, it was a struggle for 8 months. And that depression was in there too. So there's depression, there's pivoting. You're trying to pivot and support your business by taking you off the payroll. Because I'm thinking, well, let me take myself off of payroll. That will help with revenue, which is produced by the instability, the stability issues we have with getting people into the door to actually bake the cheesecakes. So that's a lot. And I think I tried to, last year, the work-life balance wasn't working. And when Trevor Noah said that, I'm like, it's amazing how one little line, I'm like, huh, life balance. I'm like, I've been living for over 40 years. I'm like, life balance. How did that? Yeah. So that's where we are. So.
Got you. It's interesting. You talked about, taking that initiative, taking that step to dust off the engineering degree, go back in it for those 8 months, right? There's a book, Discipline is the Way, by Ryan Holiday. He's a Stoic, he's a Texan, so I like to read him. He talks about, as entrepreneurs, as business people, as leaders, we talk about the attacking, the initiative, the starting, but a lot of time the retreating is just as important or even more important. And so you went, you did what you had to do and didn't, but then you were like, let me retreat, right? Let me come back to Val's. What has that retreat been like for you, right? And then a lot of times you got to take 2 steps back to go a whole lot of steps forward, right? So just tell me about how that process has been since you've came back from engineering, you're back at Val's. How has that been like for you?
When I tell you, I feel relieved that I left the city of Denton, and no bad vibe on the city of Denton. Sure. It's a beautiful city, and I've worked for them for 8 months, and I've enjoyed the people I work with. But I left there, November 18th was my last day, and I left with no grudges. There was no issues. Sure. It's just a decision that I made that it was a fit issue. I was in fitting too. There were some fit issues. But I left there on November 18th, and I gave my notice 3 weeks before November 18th. And really, I felt relieved 3 weeks before my last day.
Sure.
And so it worked out that November 18th was my last day. And then we went into Thanksgiving, which is the
Your
busiest
birthday's around
time.
there too.
November.
Yeah.
So that was the biggest gift I gave myself this year, was to actually be honest with myself and realize that I don't have to do something that is not part of my life balance. So I left, and since then, I've been able to talk about my depression, and you possibly have seen that the social media that I'm putting out there, there's less cheesecake. Mm-hmm. It's more about the community, relationship, and how we relate to each other. So I want to talk about more than just cheesecake, and this place here is more about cheesecake, and so that's where we are. And it's been the biggest relief and the biggest release for me is to realize that I don't have to do something that's not balancing my life, and that's it. And it's been great, and just the honesty with people, and people just I didn't realize when I started to talk about it, the amount of business owners in this town who are silently going through the motions, who are silently going through issues, and the social media, they're putting something out there, and I'm like, not you.
Yeah.
The social media is on point. Like it's how can you be like this? I'm like, I didn't realize that we are connecting more than I expected, and people have reached out, and you'd be shocked to know who in this town have some issues. So to me, this is the most honest I've been with myself. I am aware coming out about the depression. I've been aware of my flaws, my qualities, and self-awareness has been the biggest gift for me.
Yeah.
So,
well, let me just say thank you, right? So when you reached out to us via Instagram, like, hey, Jonathan, call Val. And then we heard about what you were dealing with, and it made me reflect, right? So since November of last year, my grandmother went from one day healthy to not healthy, right? And I'm the grandchild, but she's like my second mom. I'm power of attorney, the will, the house, everything's in my name. So dealing with all of that, coming to being in business 8 years, you talk about staffing, you talk about revenue, you like 8 years, I don't even know if I want to do this anymore, right? I've gotten to a point to where I'm thinking about transitioning. I'm talking to my friend and producer over there, and the car's like, what are you talking about? Leave, dude. Like, what are you talking about, right? But as you said, when you start being honest, you are honest, right? It makes other people want to be honest. It makes me want to be honest, right? So one thing I want to talk about is sustaining. Right? You're going on 10 years, right? From the church to AT&T to the Shack to Greenville. Now we're here right outside of downtown. What's been some of your keys to sustaining? How are you sustaining? Because 10 years, you're still talking about staffing, ingredients, and revenue. And if you stay another 10 years, God willing, you'll be talking about staffing, ingredients, and revenue, right? So what's been your key to sustaining?
I think I started baking at St. Paul United Methodist Church, and I opened the Shack, and then I opened the shop on Greenville. We opened Fort Worth, and then we opened AT&T Food Hall, and now we're about to open this place. Over the year, it has progressed from just, I want to sell cheesecakes. I want to tell my mother's story. I want to have a physical location. I want to have a bigger physical location because of catering. I want to reach out to the market in Fort Worth, but I also want to reach out to almost the international market at AT&T Food Hall, because you have a AT&T Food Hall Dallas right there. So it's always been, okay, how can I touch more people with the stories, right? I think it's important that you always have a story. And even now we're sitting in this new location, there's a whole new story about this place. So Greenville is about my mom. All the locations that we've had are about my mom. And this place right here is finally about Val. It's not just about my mom. We will have some cheesecakes, which we will have for sure. But as you can see, there's a lobby here and there's a kitchen. And if I had access to this kitchen 10 years ago, I think I would have done things differently. And after COVID, this food service industry is different. You can't keep going on the same vibe, the same stories, the same way of doing business, the same financial models. You can't keep going there. So we've decided to open a commercial kitchen, a commissary kitchen, which businesses can use and sell their product, improve their concept, just like I needed to prove my concept 10 years ago. I didn't have that. I didn't have a place where I could just come and sell my stuff, but bake my stuff as well, bake my cheesecakes. So to answer your question, sustaining to me means you need to progress with the reality of what's going on in the background and see how you can improve your business as things are changing. So to me, pivoting and sustaining and reinventing yourself is going together.
Gotcha. I love that. Yeah, what sustaining is change.
Yes.
You change to sustain, right?
Yes.
Maybe that's another hashtag.
Okay.
But 2020.
Yes. I need to put that on my social media platform.
There you go. So this is called The Secrets of Silent Success. So I'm going to ask Val and Val's Cheesecake. Got the beautiful new commercial kitchen here. What is your secret to success?
I think the biggest secret to success is realizing that you don't need to live your life for anybody else but you. You really do. The depression got me into a space where I didn't think I could get out, and I didn't. I really, it was dark. So to me, I see realizing who I am, all my flaws, my qualities, and things I don't do well. To me, I think realizing once you get to self-awareness and knowing that you have a story to tell, to me, that's bigger than just having the best cheesecake in town, the best location in town. Self-awareness, getting to that point where you know who you are. To me, that has given me a whole new meaning of success. Realizing of who you really truly are. When you get to that point, you're like, oh, this is the person I am? I'm like, wow, okay. I didn't know all that. So to me, that is, I think a few months ago or a year ago, we had an interview, and that has changed now that I know that who I am now. And it's reflecting, it's permeating through everything we do. And even this place, the art, the commercial kitchen, it's coming through of who I really am at this place. And to me, that is more success, getting successful every day to be the real you that you ought to be.
Wow, that's powerful self-awareness. I feel like we're on the same wavelength. I'm currently reading the book, my second book of 2023. It's called Leadership and Self-Deception.
Oh my God, listen, I can't keep up with you,
right?
with your books.
Yeah, so they're talking about how we're lying to ourselves. Right? The way that we're leading others, the way that we're leading ourselves, the stories that we tell in ourselves. So you look at it from the glass half full, you're talking about self-awareness, right? That book is talking about it from a glass half empty, the self-deception. So like I said, we're on the same wavelength.
Oh my God, we need to open a business together, you and me.
I love it. So last thing here, right? We got a whole lot of awesome stuff happening with Val's. We got the new kitchen, we got some rebranding. We're talking about more going green after some of your experiences with Denton and engineering. You're talking about some potential deals with Cadillac. Tell me, right, everything that you got going on. Let's talk about it. Let's get excited, right? Let's end on a good note.
All right, so I guess the first thing is that we are going to change our hours. So our hours are at Greenville, and it's going to change for sure. And we're really narrowing on where are the sweet spots for us, literally the sweet spots for us. Yeah. All right. So we used to work 7 days a week. We went to six days a week, went to 5 days a week, and we're potentially going to 4-day operation with an emphasis on catering on those outside hours. All right, so we're gonna focus on that. We have a book dropping on February 14th, which is 12 Sundays, Cheesecake Recipes for Life. We are also going green. We're getting rid of every single use plastics in the building. I work for the city of Denton and the city of Arlington, and I work on landfill projects and water quality projects. I know exactly where foam, where single-use plastics end up. I've seen them, I know exactly. So when I went to the landfill of these cities, my business was contributing to all these plastics being out there. So we're going green. Here, we're also opening this place, which is a commercial kitchen plus a lobby to prove your concept. We are changing also how we pay our team members. So our team members are going down to 4 days of work because there's the whole 4-day work week movement that is going on now. And so they're going down to 4-day work week, but getting paid for 5 days. Wow. That's an extra benefit to them. All right. And then we got a lot going on, not just with the locations, but also the menu is changing to fit exactly what people want. So there's a lot of energy in self-awareness, but also I want to connect what's going on behind the scene back here and with these customers that are coming through the door. I think there's a big gap in this town specifically, and restaurant owners, business owners are not talking enough for the customer base to understand what is going on. We don't want to be slow. We don't have enough servers. We don't want to raise the prices. is that this is not something we want to do.
It's a conundrum you're trying to figure it out. Yeah.
We don't want you to come into the store and then you're not being served at a speed that is doable, that is nice. So these are all complaints that I hear. Oh, this is too slow. They don't have enough chef. The menu changes constantly. This is not something we want as business owners. And I don't think the food service industry has done a good job of putting out, okay, this is what the issues are, okay? And we need to change the way we do business. So all these changes with staffing, menus, and days of operation is to let people know, aware of what's going on, how we need to change to be able to bring you that product. So there's a lot going on, specifically with awareness for sure.
Got you. Before we end, did you want to talk about the Cadillac thing?
Yes, the Cadillac. So Cadillac have a new car, they have a new truck coming out, and we've been chosen as one of the business owners in Texas.
Wow,
We're working with Texas Monthly. So Cadillac is working with Texas Monthly, and on February, right before Valentine's Day, I'm gonna be driving this new car to a local market, to a local place here. So I can't talk much about it because it is a big thing for Cadillac, but we're able to be chosen for that. And that's a blessing. We've had a lot of blessings, and I can tell you, with the Magnolia Network, with you, Ryan, coming in here and talking and telling our story, and Cadillac and Texas Monthly Magazine to be able to choose us and be able to be one of the first business owners driving this new car. So I think that's a big thing. So be on the lookout for that for sure.
Awesome. Well, we'll leave it there.
Yes.
I appreciate your time.
Yes, sir.
Next year, part 3, we got it.
Yeah, part 3. And y'all, this dude is phenomenal. He does a great job. He knows what he's doing. And he's well-read too, y'all.
It's not me, it's the people behind the camera, right? I just come up here and convey the information that they did. So
yes, there's a person behind the camera we're not talking about too, okay?
Right. Yeah.
Thank y'all for coming here today. I really appreciate that.
Absolutely, I appreciate it.
Awesome.